Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of VCTV. This episode is my favorite episode. It is investment opportunities in Europe. Since I am the moderator today, let me start by introducing myself. I had my own family office in Singapore and Jakarta. I worked as an investment banker and advisor to family offices and angel investors in Indonesia, helping startups from diverse backgrounds. After 15 years of staying there, I came back to India. That is when Convanto was founded. And today, Convanto is one of the most well known boutique investment banks led by a female founder. I'm also a venture advisor with Loyal VC and a partner with GST Venture Studios. I've also been selected as one of the top 10 women leaders in Wealth Management 2021. My expert opinion is sought in leading business news channels like VCTV and Business World. I've participated in 160 plus talks all over the world. I'm also connected with 300 plus investors globally, and I'll be picking up global deals from all sectors. Our ticket size is $1 million to $25 million. I'm excited to host the panel today with our esteemed guests, Mr. Tushar Kansal and Gary Fowler from Silicon Valley. Uh, welcome Tushar uh, to the panel today. Very happy to host you today. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us something about yourself?
Thank you, Vandana. It is always a pleasure to speak at the panels of Venture Capital TV, and myself, Tushar Kansal from Consultancy Ventures. I'm an accomplished professional with experience spanning multiple sectors. From venture capital, I was part of the brand capital team. Then I was executing private equity assignments at Deloitte and Touche, and I was headed the treasury of the Russian telecom company Sistema's India unit. Sistema is a company listed on London Stock Exchange, and we raised almost $2.5 billion for the company in 3 years. And then I was CFO of a company owned by Guggenheim Partners, the American private equity fund. I'm a mentor and judge at entrepreneurship cells of IIT Mumbai, IIT Delhi, IIT Chennai, IIT Kharagpur, IIT ISM Dhanbad, and such marquee institutions. So these are four of the top five engineering colleges in India where I am a mentor and judge. I have expertise of financial and business advisory, fundraising, and creation of documents for VC funding. I have arranged funding for startups and growth stage companies in diverse sectors. You can check the recommendations on my LinkedIn. And I am a regular at CNN News 18, VCTV, Business World, Business and Economy, Curious, and Digital Market Asia. I did my executive education from Harvard Business School. Thank you, Vanna, for this topic today, and hi to Gary as well.
Hi, Gary. Thank you, Tushar, for
Hi.
the wonderful introduction. Hi, Gary. Very good morning to you, and happy to have you here with the topic today investing in Europe. Uh, would humbly request you to introduce yourself to our audiences that are waiting to hear from you.
Sure. Well, I'm just a country boy from Pennsylvania. I've been involved in 17 startups and I've been involved in two unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion, and also Evid.ai. I'm the CEO, president, and co-founder of GST Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. I've written now 164 articles on areas of my interest: AI, quantum computing, cybersecurity. And now I'm writing about reinvigorating the world, the democratization opportunity. On Friday, I speak at the United Nations as part of the 76th General Assembly about technology as a tool for peace. I work with some of the leading family office and high net worth individuals, as well as the top VCs, global VCs from all over. And the idea is to find the best AI companies and quantum and cybersecurity companies for investment. I also speak, I've done over 700 podcasts uh, globally over the last 18 months. Seems like yesterday. And we'll do another one today. I have the Founders Report, and today I'm talking about working with the VCs from the Valley, highlighting the top startup every 2 weeks from around the world and showing how they make a dent in the universe. So great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure to host you today. So let's start with today's topic about investment landscapes of Europe. How has it changed over time? Despite the ongoing effects of the pandemic, a record amount of VC capital has continued to flow in European startups with 32.5 billion euros invested so far, putting the year on track to surplus last year's 37.6 billion euros. The increasing participation of US based investors has been a factor in the increase of investment. Nearly half of the top 10 backers of European unicorns in terms of deal count are based across the Atlantic. US firms have been actively targeting Europe's tech startups, which tend to have lower valuations than their US counterparts, offering more opportunities for higher growth rates. So, Tushar, coming to you, what do you feel? How has the investment landscape of Europe changed over time?
Uh, Europe has traditionally been very strong in heavy engineering and a lot of research and development led products, especially around heavy equipment. And Germany has been a leader in this space. Germany's exports are more than $1 trillion annually, and a large part of that is heavy equipment machinery. And traditionally Europe had a lead in terms of creating a unique intellectual property led hardware. So we remember how Nokia used to rule the smartphone market, which is a Finnish company. And so over the time, in terms of consumer products, Europe has sort of given the lead to US, and US has taken over critical consumer sectors like consumer apps and products, and both in products and services. But European market is traditionally, the average median age of the population is high as compared to the other continents like Asian countries and also the US. So the requirement of a European customer is traditionally a bit different. But having said that, the technology sector in Europe has caught up, and we are seeing increased amounts of venture capital and private equity investments in Europe, and many tailored towards specifically the technology sector, quantum computing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, fintech. We saw how SoftBank, invested recently in Revolut. Revolut has created a platform for banking services, which is outside of a traditional bank. And its earlier round was valued Revolut at $3 billion, and SoftBank came in at $33 billion. So those are the kind of potential which we see in European startups, especially from fintech, education technology, and agri-tech is mostly controlled by the governments in Europe. A lot of subsidies, and but overall the sectors are looking very bright, and we are seeing increased amounts of investments.
Great insights, Tushar. Thank you for those. Gary, what do you feel? I mean, how has the investment landscape of Europe changed over time?
Well, it's slowly changed, right? And Europe's a big area, so each one of the countries are a bit different. So, I mean, some of them are a bit conservative. Some of them, it's about conservative. It's about not having enough money. It's about not having the right kind of network. The good news is it's changing because they understand. I was on a call yesterday, and if you're listening, hello, with one of the highest net worth individuals from Germany and are groups from Germany. And the situation with that particular group is they're looking for connections in Silicon Valley. So, Silicon Valley is still a port to the rest of the world. And those those companies are looking for high valuations. They're looking for the contacts and networks. They're looking for the right sales, marketing, management, business development to be able to help them. I hear it time and time again from companies I have in my cohort today, companies from Austria, companies from Germany, companies from the UK. Have had companies, Spanish companies, but it's access to capital, the right kind of valuation, and also, do they understand the technology or not? You don't want to be 2 or 3 years behind another part of the world. You want to make sure that you're leading the pack. So it's coming, it's getting better, but they're still interested in making sure the valuations are at the right level, making sure that they can really access those global markets, and making sure they have the right talent.
That's really awesome insights coming from you, Gary. My next question is, what unicorns has Europe seen in recent times, and what are the challenges of investing in Europe and different parts of the continent? Tushar, would you like to share your insights on those?
So, European, see, if you look at sector by sector,
Yeah.
from an educational perspective, we have high quality education in the Western European countries, and the sector is quite well off. But technology has caught up, and they are moving after, especially COVID, they are moving towards online education, and that's where the opportunity has also opened up, and there have been good investments in the education sector in Europe. In terms of fintech, uh, the whole world is pointing towards a time when the traditional banking will move away, and everything will happen on the smartphone. And that's what, when I mentioned about Revolut, that's what, a company which went from $3 billion valuation to $33 billion valuation. And the third part is that most of the area, the euro area, is has very high subsidies from the governments on agriculture, because it's the whole climate of the place is not suitable for agriculture. So there has to be a lot of inputs which go, which are costly and which will increase the price of food. So the governments, they throw in good amount of subsidies, so that agriculture is viable. And but in terms of technology, we have large farm sizes, and technology is used in a great way across the continent. So agri-tech, a lot of companies, they look up to Europe for getting technology for agri-tech, and that is where the opportunity also lies. And in terms of consumer markets, we have more products which are more suited towards the 40s and 50s age of customers, because the median age of the population is a bit higher as compared to US, China, Europe, India, and Southeast Asia.
Thank you for those, thoughts. Gary, what is your take over here? What unicorns has Europe seen, and what are the challenges of investing in Europe and different parts of the continent?
Well, the UK accounts for most of the unicorns, Vendana. In fact,
Hmm.
the blockchain.com, they did $120 billion, $120 million raise. But then if you look at the decacorns, I mean, think about this: companies over 10 billion. Klarna, which is a Swedish company, already has a VC back. I think you mentioned it, Tushar, 31 billion, and also Checkout, which is now at 15 billion. So it's moving forward. The challenges are still not at the level of a Silicon Valley, right, or China. The good news is the companies. Yesterday, I was on a call with one of the largest VCs in Silicon Valley. They actually have a pitching competition in October in Europe. I mean, and they got to look around. Their whole idea is to hunt and find those companies that they can curate to become $1 billion company. The Europe access, I mean, the good news, there's not as much competition for the investment. And the other thing is these Silicon Valley based companies, venture funds, have a lot of capital that they want to deploy. So it's really good. I've worked a lot with Insight Partners. Insight Partners is really active, and so's Excel. You know, they're the half of the top 10 unicorns are backed by either one or both of those companies.
Great to hear that, Gary. So, Tushar, coming to you once again, what advice would you like to give to the startups in Europe? I mean, uh, you know, definitely the audience would like to hear your valuable insights and guidance as to what startups, what advice you could give to them, you know?
My advice is that any product which is created in Europe has to be cutting edge technology, and in terms of putting in money to develop that product, don't worry, the whole world is your market, and there has been a traditional culture of technology originating from Europe and going increasingly towards other countries. In terms of my advice to founders, I tell them to have a passion and purpose, and find the product market fit. Once you find a market fit, and there is a founder market fit as well, so funding is not a challenge, and build a legacy. I remember there was a founder who had recently gone and uh, met SoftBank, a founder, and the SoftBank founder told him that although he's focusing on the customers, but he should have an offering which focuses on all the stakeholders. So if he has three stakeholders, supposedly banks and a fintech platform and the customers, so he should have a value proposition for all three of them. So that's what Amazon has perfected over the years, and I would recommend the startup founders from Europe to focus, to provide a value to all the stakeholders and build their technology around that. And in terms of resources, I would tell them to surround themselves with people better than they are. And talent is scarce. We are seeing of the high quality tech talent. We are seeing companies fighting over each other to get that talent. So in today's times, you have to not only find better talent but hold on to the good talent which you have. And your idea need not be new, you just need it to do better than anyone else. So there is no perfection when it comes to your idea or your business plan. And be resilient and don't get complacent. So these are my advice for startup founders from Europe.
Totally agree with you to be resilient. Gary, what advice would you like to give to the startups in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's, don't talk, go out and do it, get shit done. Be aggressive, go out to the market, don't be afraid, learn how to pitch, make sure you got a team, look at some of the rules, make sure you don't have one startup founder, make sure you've got at least two and sometimes three, but no more than three. Make sure that your product is tested, make sure you've done your customer development to make sure you have product market fit. Most importantly, make sure that somebody's willing to grab it out of your hands, as my friend Bob Dorf and C Blank would say. You want to make sure you're running lean. I had one company one time from Europe. They got their funding and the guy went out and bought a BMW. And make sure that you're using the funds wisely, or you will not get investment the next time you need it. Make sure that you're listening to your customer all the time, continuous listening. You're right about resilience. That's important. But the other thing is believing in yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Do you want to do it or not? Can you do it or not? And either you believe in yourself or it won't happen. And so, in fact, I did a TED talk about this a couple of years ago. So, optimism, visualization, and getting stuff done. So, but everybody here has an opportunity to be able to put a dent in the universe. The, the, the difference is, do you really want to do it? 99.9% of the folks around the world have the capability, but a very small portion ever do it. Less than 0.5%. Why? Because they have fear, because they don't believe in themselves. I mean, how many times have people said, I had that idea 10 years ago, but I didn't do it? It's a matter of getting out. Look at Colonel Sanders. At 65 years old, he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was cooking his chicken at a gas station, and then he set up some tables, but people liked it. They smelled it. They liked it. Then they started coming in. The birth of Kentucky Fried Chicken. So get out there, do it, believe in yourself, use your network, treat people fairly in the right way. Make sure that you're building those long-term relationships over time, because you never know when somebody's going to be there that you need. I had a friend of mine many years ago that I had met. The next time I met him, he had $8 billion, and we were friends. He's been a mentor of mine, etc. But those kind of people, um, all people, right, have something they can offer. So look at the good and not the bad. As Mother Teresa said, it's not about stopping war; it's about pro peace. Figure out how to build those relationships. And for those European companies that are out there, look around the world. The African continent has 1.3 billion people and growing. India. Look at where you can develop partnerships. Look at where you can build very strong teams that can help you. Russia, Ukraine, Belarus has excellent talent, engineering talents in AI, data mining, machine learning. Look at where you can build those coalitions and partnerships, because it's not about one, it's about many. They're really make sure you use multi-generational teams. By that I mean you want the people with the gray hair in, because they have the contacts and ideas and trust, especially today with the digital transformation. You can't go out, the VCs or family offices or angels, it's hard for them to come to you because of the pandemic. Make sure you're using a trusted network, so that the probability of getting those investments are really high. And last, just go out there and get shit done. Go get them.
Great thoughts, Gary. Go and get shit done.
That's it.
Uh, so, what advice would you like to give to investors looking to invest in Europe, Tushar? We already gave advice to startups, but what is your thoughts to give out to those investors out there?
So I would tell the investors, traditionally, investing in Europe has meant that the technology which comes out is really cutting edge, and it is at par with the US on many factors. And Europe is very competitive. The governments are very agile, and although uh, it's a welfare state, which most of the countries are welfare states, but the economies are quite competitive, and they compete with each other, and they have a good investment ecosystem over there. But traditionally, when it comes to expecting returns from European startups, unless the product or service which is created has an international market, then unless that is there, the traditional return metrics on European startups won't be too high, because the consumption is still driven by a lot of debt. And if they are creating breakthrough products, you are investing in a technology which has achieved PMF with European customers. uh, you'll have to still customize it and make a separate PMF for the customers of consumers of other countries, because the purchasing power is different. The choices and use of each product or service is different, from that perspective. And my advice to investors is that look for uh, those technologies which have multiple users and across markets, and not only Europe. uh, yeah, that's it.
Great thoughts, Tushar. I totally agree with you. Gary, what would you advise to the investors looking to invest in opportunities in Europe?
Well, so I would look at, from my perspective, I would look at some of the competitions that are out there. I'm speaking of the Startup World Cup that's put on by Pegasus in Europe, October 6th. So look at some of those places where those top startups go. You need a filter to be able to go out, look for the top accelerators where you can mine those opportunities. Make sure that you have a trusted network and partner there. It's really important. And then just, that Germany and the UK have quite a few unicorns. Look for places where those unicorns are. It's like fishing. You want to go to a pond where there are the fish. So the situation is look outside of your borders, think differently, because there's going to be less competition and there's going to be lower valuations for you. So get out there and on the investor side and go get them. Don't sit on your hands. Don't just sit in a place like China or India or Silicon Valley. Go out and get them.
Great. Tushar, why should one invest in Europe, and what factors or characteristics in Europe current investment ecosystem makes it a suitable investment opportunity as per you?
So, because traditionally the industrial revolution happened in France, so the whole education system is geared towards making students, young minds think of original thinking, experimenting, use of technology at the family level, and because of all these, these are entrepreneur. They lend a large entrepreneurship air to the people there, and also investment landscape is pretty benign because the cost of capital is pretty low. The interest rate on euro is hardly anything, so there is a whole amount of investment floating around in the European ecosystem, so which means that the availability of money is really not that difficult as compared to many other countries. And Europe is not one entity. It has Eastern Europe, which took over a large business process outsourcing and call center industry. And if, the kind of talent, the technology talent, software talent available in Poland, Hungary, available in Czechoslovakia, the Eastern European countries, is quite good, and which means the quality of education. And when you talk about the Nordic countries, the Norwegian countries, their education quality is very good, and the welfare state is very strong. So all this means that things are very stable. Policies don't change overnight. The whole ecosystem is quite mature. And I remember one of the Dubai investors who I know, he had picked up a stake in a company in Poland, and very soon that company started entering new markets. And because the cost of the whole factor of production and the cost of doing business was quite low in Poland, so the company was able to achieve a lot with less amount of money. And don't forget that Europe and US have a traditionally historic bond, so companies can easily migrate from Europe to US and enter Silicon Valley, and do much more with whatever intellectual property or niche technology they have created. And increasingly there is a trend towards having free trade relationship with large number of countries in this globe, which means that the export potential of European companies is pretty high. And so these factors, all these factors come together to make Europe a very exciting place. And within Europe, especially UK, we don't count as part of Europe, but UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain and Italy have seen some macroeconomic problems because of large amount of public debt. But Poland, Romania, Belgium, and the Norwegian countries, Netherlands, and so on, Sweden.
Great insights, Tushar. I totally agree with you there. Gary, coming to you, why should one invest in Europe, and what factors or characteristics in Europe current investments ecosystem make it suitable investment opportunity? What are your thoughts here?
Why should one invest in Europe? As we said, the valuations are lower. There are a lot of companies that are out there that are investable. Look at the Baltics, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, the Czech Republic, as Tushar said, Poland, all over the UK. So there's some good deals out there, and there's some incredible talent. And so, what are the characteristics in Europe's current investment ecosystems that make it suitable? It's the valuations are lower and the talent's high. It's like keep it simple, stupid time. So it's a great opportunity.
Great, great. Tushar, coming back to you, which countries in Europe are budding, entrepreneurial or investment hotspots in Europe?
In Europe, traditionally, Russia has been known more for oil and defense technology, but Telegram came out of Russia, and don't forget one of the founders of Google is Russian, although uh, he studied in the US. And Germany has been traditionally known for heavy engineering, but German companies are nowadays making a mark in new age technology, consumer startups, logistics, and also fintech. And UK has traditionally, ARM, which is one of the semiconductor companies, it got sold for $33 billion to SoftBank, and SoftBank further sold it to one of the semiconductor companies at a small profit. So UK has and UK has a very vibrant educational culture. I mean, London School of Economics, London Business School, and such good kind of institutions since a long time. And UK also draws a lot of brain from across the globe. So there is a lot of talented people who come to UK to make a career. So all this means that the incubators in the universities of UK, they have some very good opportunities for investors in the form of good innovations and young companies requiring investments. France, again, fashion capital, the fashion industry is very strong, but not many people know that France is very strong in defense technology as well, and uh, and consumer side is really strong. Similarly, we have Italy, Spain, Ukraine, Poland, Romania, Netherlands, Belgium, Czechoslovakia, Greece, and all of them are very high on tourism. So once the vaccination plays out, then whatever slump which has been seen in tourism startups, that will reverse. So it's a good time to enter the tourism related startups, and so that's it. These are my views about the European countries.
Great, great thoughts. Gary, what do you feel? Which countries in Europe are budding entrepreneurial and, or investment hotspots?
Well, so you've got, like I said, the Baltics, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, the Czech Republic. From my standpoint, those are the ones to look at because they've got incredible engineering talent and a lot of ideas, and they think differently. So I would look at those areas, and of course, because evaluations, as I said, are lower, it's a great place to find those companies.
Great, great. Tushar, coming back to you, which sector, according to you, would you be likely to invest in Europe? And, what kind of startups would you like to pick up for your venture from Europe?
I would pick up, startups which are there in agri-tech, fintech, education technology, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep tech, There are some space tech opportunities. OneWeb is competing with Starlink to create a constellation of satellites around the Earth, and Bharti Group from India recently picked up a 45% stake in OneWeb. So, the space tech is a good sector, and consumer B2B and B2C, and logistics is a good sector because there is a lot of efficiency in the infrastructure area in the Euro zone. And I would be like, but I would definitely like to look at more technology, unique technology plays, whether they are in the hardware or the software side, and any kind of intellectual property is always welcome.
Great, great. So for audiences, please reach out to Tushar for those sectors, especially if you are from Europe. Gary, which sectors, according to you, you would be likely to best invest in Europe? Please share your thoughts here.
Well, I mean, I'm looking for AI, quantum, and cybersecurity companies. So those are the three hotspots from our standpoint. Some mobility, sure, but those three areas are really interesting for us.
Great, great. Tushar, what are your closing thoughts and where could you be reached?
Um, so my closing thoughts is that English is the world language where a lot of countries speak, and that's where European countries have traditionally felt some kind of a drawback, because countries have to learn German, they have to learn French, they have to learn so many languages, and but English is used in a lot of countries in Europe, so that makes it a bit easier to work in Europe. And I feel that Europe has revived itself after uh, a lot of famous governments came into being, not only from the welfare state side, but also more right leaning, and they have invested in education, healthcare, and they have invested in bringing creating an ecosystem of where new startups can be born, and the entrepreneurs can find a good support in terms of ecosystem, in support of capital, in terms of resources. And it's a good time to be an investor in Europe, and a good time to be looking at European countries. I can be accessed through LinkedIn by my name, Tushar Consultancy Ventures, and my website consultancy.com, and my email tk@consultancy.com. Thank you so much, Vanda, and thank you so much, Gary. It was really nice to be discussing today about investment opportunities in Europe.
Thank you, Tushar, for giving your precious time and coming on the panel. Gary, what are your closing thoughts and where could one reach out to you?
Yeah. So, from my perspective, it's a great time to look at Europe. It's a great time to look at the rest of the world. Look for those opportunities that are hidden. Look for places where other people don't go, and you'll find incredible technology. It takes time. You have to nurture those startups. You have to work with them a bit to help them go global, but it's a great opportunity for it. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and check out my shows that I have most days of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. So, international investors have taken note, and we are seeing tremendous interest in tech companies built from the continent. Substantial funding has spread beyond the three leading countries, the UK, Germany, and France, and stage agnostic investors are looking to Europe for growth companies as well. Europe is truly at an inflection point. The tech ecosystem has really matured over the last 2 decades. Europe has built tech giants like Adyen and Spotify, which have surpassed 50 billion market capitalization. The pace we are experiencing now is unprecedented. we are seeing an incredibly high number of high quality companies experiencing lightning quick growth and development. I could be reached out on my LinkedIn handle or my website www.convanto.com. And thank you, Gary and Tushar, for coming to the show and sharing your insights on investing opportunities in Europe. Our audiences, please, who are watching this show, reach out to Gary and Tushar if you're looking for investments or other opportunities. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.